guys, here we go. Time for a roundup episode just to finish out season 4. And obviously the biggest thing here that we will do is take a quick gander through the squad. So, Andre Thomas, our first team goalkeeper, is now 21 years of age, has gone up by 3 overall this season and is now a 73. Elliot Kelly, now 23 years of age, is up to a 70 overall, having started on 67. Duhu, up by 6 this season to a 75, and really starting to come on as a left back. Allied by Shane McCutcheon, who is up by 2 this season to a 68, and still proceeding to grow quite nicely at this stage. Frank Ziegler has done exceptionally well this season, up by 2 to a 68. We'll skip out Ajeda and Cuesta because they are youth players that are going to be leaving the club. We then have Max Allen, the centre-back, who's been with us since the start, now at 69 rated and still putting in a fantastic shift, especially in that central defensive midfield role that we've managed to find him in the latter stages of the season. Duncan Campbell, another original squad member, is 72 overall now, having gone up by 3 this season, and again has had an exceptional season for Solihull. He was partnered in the most by Dwan Patterson, Eddie's brother. He has 73 overall now, having grown by 3. Alistair McCutcheon, the right back, is up to a 76, having grown by 4. And his understudy, Robert Berglund, has 67 now, having grown by 3. Dare O'Connor hasn't had that kind of growth, up to 65 though, having grown by 1, but only at 18 years of age, he still has plenty of time to grow and improve. Barry Hamilton has been out on loan all season, and the 17-year-old now has 65 overall, so he'll return to the squad and hopefully fit in with the rest of the boys as we move into the championship. Johannes Bergström has just joined us from the youth academy. He's been here since he was 14 years of age, so we have helped to develop his career and shape that overall, which he enters with 64. Probably send him out on loan for next season just to add some experience and try and get that growth up a little bit more before he joins the full-time lineup. Eddie Patterson is now a 68 overall, having gone up by 3, and he has had a great season for us as well this year. Actually started to fill in at the centre-back role as we swapped him around with Max Allen on occasions, because his passing always tends to be a little bit adrift of where we need it to be. We then got Vicente Paz, the 17-year-old Argentinian, was brought in from the youth academy, has 67 overall, and we will probably send him out on a loan next season. Osvaldo Bueno is 71 rated now, having gone up by 2 this season. Don't put a huge amount of gameplay into him because I just don't really get on with him in the squad, but he does do a good shift when he's in the simulated games. Denny Alic now up to a 74 rating, the 20-year-old left midfielder or left winger. He's still short on the skill moves though, that's his biggest problem for being a winger. But aside from that, he puts in a decent shift whenever he's called upon. Dylan Morris now a 64 rated player, up by 3 this season. Again, still hoping that he's going to grow, but it's taking a long time and we can't really get him into the team, to be honest, because he just isn't of the quality of those guys around him. So I might ship him on in order that he gets a game elsewhere. Next up we got Ian Taylor, up by 3 this season to a 74, and again I don't always get the best out of him in the played games, so he does tend to rotate into the simulated ones. Still with us, Pierce Rafferty at 32. His rating has declined by 2 because he is over the age of 30 now. Started off at 48 at the start of this season and we're only going to see him decline, but he still puts in a really good shift every time he's called upon, even with such a low rating, so he will stick around here until he retires. Next up we got Henrik Fredriksson, up by 3 this season to a 66, and always a really talented player for us. Box-to-box sort of player, able to score and defend, and at 19 years of age still has plenty of potential to grow. Daniel McDonnell, a player that we bought in has been exceptional for us this year in that midfield area, can play in the CDM, the centre midfield role or the cam position. Doesn't matter where you seem to play him, you can get a good result out of him. And at 72 overall, he still has plenty of growth left in him. Guerin has been bought in from the youth academy, otherwise he was going to leave, and he is on the transfer list. Lance Collins again will be transfer listed if he's not already. Has no growth this season and obviously not going anywhere in terms of a 45 overall in this squad, but I don't want to just let players that we've developed in the youth academy just drift off into the abyss, never to be seen anywhere else. So we always keep them on and try to sell them off where possible. Lucas Peterson, the other Swede here in the squad, is now up to 69, having grown by 4 this season. Now at 23 and really starting to show the physicality that he needs to. And I think we're going to really need his work in the championship next year to try and drive the squad forward. Joseph Brennan, the Northern Ireland centre midfielder who came into the squad at the start of this season, has 71 overall now, having gone up by another 2 for the season, and he is really a decent player, whether that be in the simulated or the played games. Will Robinson on the transfer list, he's not going to be sticking around for long here. Rivero out on loan has gone up by 1 overall. Rousset is another player that is on the transfer list and we're looking to shed from the squad. Then we got Jordan Graham, who we bought in for a bit of experience, 28 years of age now, up to 70 overall, and has actually scored some decent goals for us this season and also provided some decent supply at times as well when needed. Next up we got the Welsh wizard, Scott Evans, can play either left or right wing, has gone up by 2 overall this season, 2 at 68. Playing him out on the right wing rather than left wing because of Jordan Graham, but we do rotate him from time to time, and I'd still believe that there's more to be got from Scott, whether that be here at Solihull or whether he ventures off to find success elsewhere. Lance Allen up by 3 this season. Slow, steady growth from the player that originated with the squad when we took them on. I still think that he has some potential, but at 24 years of age now, the growth is going to continue to be very slow, and I'm not sure that he's going to be able to stick around for much longer and stay happy with his role in the squad. Craig Marshall we bought in the last transfer window, the young right winger or centre mid from Scotland, has now got 70 overall, having gone up by 1, and has impressed since he's arrived. Kuluk, the Djiboutian centre forward, has gone up by 3 overall this season. Hasn't had a great deal of game time, but when he has played, he's been fairly decent. The problem for Kuluk is that, you know, we've got a batch of really good wingers, and Smith always does well when he's brought in at centre forward or striker, so it's really a difficult one for Kuluk to break into the squad. Talking about Smith, here he is, up by 3 this season with a 69 now. He has scored 5 goals this season and assisted on 4 occasions, and I think most of those goals in League One came towards the end of the season when he started to break back into the team. So really good performances from Lloyd. Hopefully we'll get more from him as we go up into the Championship. Daniel Rossi is a player that we bought in the transfer window and has already gone up by 2 overall. Haven't really had chance to play a great deal with him through that end phase of the season, but hopefully he will be part of the squad as we try to break through in the Championship next year. And then lastly, we have the main man, Bjorn Nystrom, has broken the 80, the first player in the squad to get there, has gone up by 5 overall this season, and he is an absolutely phenomenal player for Solihull Moors. Hasn't scored as many this season as we've had from him in the past, but at 27, it's not too bad with 8 assists in total. An overall rating of 7.5 is not to be sniffed at, and certainly I really do need and want to hold on to Bjorn as we continue to try to get to the Premier League. Okay, in terms of the Youth Academy, we've got a pretty stacked selection here. However, there's quite a few of the guys here who haven't really grown whilst they've been in the Academy. The first one here, Oscar Clark, being one of those, has an overall of 50, which is particularly low, and a potential between 74 and 82. One of those type of players that will probably just bring in to ship off so that he has a a chance somewhere else in the lower divisions. We've then got Anthony Jackson, an American goalkeeper, still 15 years of age and has 65 overall, so still has potential to get better before he's ready to be promoted into the squad, and has a potential between 73 and 81, which, to be honest, he might get close to meeting by the time he's ready to be promoted. We then got Philip Moran, 16 years of age, only just turned 16 at that, and he has 61 overall with a potential between 84 and 94. The left back is going to be an astounding player for us, I feel, and will probably end up being the understudy to Duhu. Next up, we've got Musa Silla. Put a little bit of training into this guy just because I wanted to try and see if we could get an extra striker in the lineup. He's got 54 overall, so he's still got plenty of ground before we will try to get him into the squad. Has a potential between 73 and 81. Next up, we've got Ismail Kamara. Not a player that I think is going to do great here at Solihull, but again, we'll probably bring him into the squad to sell him off and see if he can do something elsewhere. Jesus Galliano has 52 overall with a potential of 75 to 83. We'll try to grow him in the coming months in order that we can perhaps bring him into the squad as a backup. We then got Alexander Willems. He's a Belgian right midfielder that is technically gifted. 56 overall with a potential between 72 and 80. We've also got Jules de Smet, the first of the two twins in the youth academy here. Has an overall of 57 with a potential between 71 and 79. And again, probably not going to make the cut in the long term for the squad, but we will bring him in and see what happens about selling him off to somebody else. Louis Van Dam, 60 overall with a potential between 71 and 83. Interested to see what happens with this guy because of the potential more than anything else. Hopefully he can get up close to the 80s, but I'm not sure it will be anytime soon. And at 19 years of age, it won't be long before he's asking to be called into the squad. Riley McLean is 54 overall, 73 to 81 potential and worth 140,000. Again, a player that I think will just be bought in to be sold off. Lucas Nicholson, another left back, 59 overall with a potential between 79 and 91. Currently worth £275,000, so would actually be worth bringing into the squad even if we just sell him off straight away. And then lastly, we've got the other twin, Tom de Smet. Is a central midfielder playmaker with 57 overall with potential between 69 and 83. So in terms of our budget and from a profit point of view, you can see here that the projection is £65.98 million in earnings, which is a massive amount compared to where we needed to be. So the board are particularly happy with that. Okay, and our transfer budget currently sits at 18 million with a £2 million wage budget. So we're looking pretty healthy there, but remember that we are going to throw quite a substantial amount of money at our move to a new ground for the season after next. Moving on to the objectives, and we only really achieved one of the three big ones that the board had set out for us at the start of the season, and that is the profit margin, which we absolutely smashed out the water. We didn't do the two youth academy options because they're ones that really take a great deal of work to actually get done. Signing one youth player to the senior team and playing them in 10 matches, whether they start as the starting 11 or coming on as a sub, can be a very difficult task if you're bringing in very low rated players. On top of that, the other one, to grow two youth academy players by at least 10 overall points, growing one by 10 overall points is a massive undertaking. So we didn't really have a chance of dealing with that one, I don't believe, but that will obviously go against us in terms of the board's eyes. From the brand exposure point of view, we didn't sign a crucial striker or winger. I didn't really feel that we needed to do either of those, and I'm not just going to go out and sign somebody just for the purposes of the board, and we still obviously haven't achieved the long-term goal. Continental success, obviously we were in the Europa League, so it was easy to get to the group stage because, well, you can't not get to the group stage because you're in it. And domestic success wise, we came second and we were on the same points as the league leaders. So I don't think we did too badly there. We lost out by goal difference. So overall, I think we've not done too badly there, and it's reflected in our manager rating, which is currently at 77. Okay, so I thought I'd just let you know what was happening in the other leagues in England. Manchester City won the Premier League, with Arsenal coming up short in second, quite a distance off of Manchester City's points tally, to be quite honest. But then we have Spurs and Liverpool just 3 points behind them on 90. Down the bottom end of the table and in the relegation zone, we have Huddersfield, West Brom and Fulham, which means that we'll have another local rival to take on in the Championship next year, with the Baggies having been relegated. Okay, so over here in the Championship it is Villa and Palace that go back up to the Premier League, which means obviously we won't be facing off against Villa this season coming. Down at the bottom end of the table, the 3 teams that are relegated are Ipswich, Peterborough and Charlton. Over in League 2, Forest Green, Gillingham and Swindon all go up automatically, and Grimsby, Accrington, Wickham and Tranmere face off in the playoffs. Meanwhile, down at the bottom end of the table, it is Eastleigh and Morecambe that end up going back down to the National League, whilst Salford are champions of the National League once more, and Cheltenham go up with them to League 2. In terms of domestic cup competitions, the FA Cup was won by Manchester City in an all-Manchester derby. The Carabao Cup was also picked up by Manchester City, although this time they beat Chelsea in the final. Barnsley took the Leasing.com trophy. Bayer Leverkusen beat Liverpool on penalties in the final of the Europa League. And it's Atletico Madrid that take home the Champions League title, having beaten Dortmund 3-2 in the final. Right guys, so there we go, the end of Season 4. I'll be back for Season 5, and as it says in that bottom right hand corner, I'm going off to make a brew, because this is going to take a while. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe to the channel for more FIFA 20 content. Thanks for watching, but for now, I'm out of here.